Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this Tuesday edition of Shields and Arrows. Yeah, we're getting to a Tuesday show. Is this back-to-back weeks now? I think so. It just so happened with all of the ice and whatnot, my pickup's currently buried up in a, kind of down into a bank. I'll get it out later, but that's a story for another day. It's great to have all of you with us. You may notice a little bit of an echo, and I'm having to use the backup mic, all because I left my microphone on from yesterday's show. I do apologize, so you're going to be left with using a little bit of background noise, but you should be able to hear me loud and clear. The audio levels look good. My studio crew, if I had one, would probably be giving me the thumbs up. And so, great to have all of you. Now, I do want to let you know, right now, I am not 100% confident that we'll even have Abraham tomorrow night, our Wednesday night series. That's because I just don't know if we're going to have church. Because if you are anywhere around Oklahoma, you'll understand. If not, you may not really get what's going on here. We did not get snow. I could show you pictures of what our house looks like right now, and you would think, wow, winter wonderland, it's all snow. It's not. It is all sleet. It's all ice. Everything is very slippery. We're talking ice, sleet that is piled up, frozen, refrozen, at least 4 inches thick. We're not going to get it all thawed today. We're only going to get up to about 40 degrees today, I think, around the highest. And that's just not going to be enough to get rid of the ice in certain areas, especially the areas that are going to be less traveled, a little bit in the shade. So once again, I just say all that to tell you, and Toby, he's from Oklahoma, he knows, well, but you may have gotten more snow than we did, Toby. But I don't know if we're going to have service. It's one of those things that when you have church service, you really do need to make sure that there's a safe way for people to get in and out of the church. And I just don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. We may not have a Wednesday night study. And at this time, I'm not sure what my son's school situation looks like. They may not have school tomorrow either. It just kind of depends on the weather. So I may be going live tomorrow morning. I will go live Thursday. I won't be going live Friday, okay? So no Friday show. I do apologize. I'll be gone, and I'll be gone all weekend, but then I'll be back as quick as I can. All right? I'll be back for Monday, and then we'll get back to business as usual. So I wanted just to give you the quick update on all of that. So I grew out my beard in just enough time for the weather to get cold. And so, let's see. Things that I wanted to update you on today. That's the title of today's show, Updates and More. We're going to talk a little bit more about the matters surrounding Minneapolis because, once again, we've got this massive federal government, and so what happens in Minneapolis will affect us. We're also going to spend a little bit of time just doing some reflection on what are some telltale signs of websites, publishing companies, what have you, that really at this point, the time for open discussion, conversation, it's just done, all right? We're not going to do this anymore, and I'm going to talk about a certain Christian website that is very prominent, and you've heard me rant about it before, but I'm just going to make another point today on this matter of we just got to start calling it like it is, quit worrying about, we need to have these conversations and the debates. And no, if your church buys this publishing content, if your church shares this kind of content, or if the people you know share this kind of content, you just fundamentally have an entirely different worldview than them. And pretending like, hey, we're driving towards the same goal here, we're just disagreeing on how to get there. We've got to just start being completely honest about it. And then I'm going to spend a little bit of time updating you on matters of the Bible conference and working on some plans there, and also I'm going to propose to you some ideas I have, maybe for this year even, that I would like to share with you and you to be chewing on as far as what you think we should do, how it could be implemented. And let's see here. Toby says, Mark, I thought you were a four-wheel drive truck kind of guy with a gun rack in the back window. Well, I am a four-wheel drive truck driving guy. I don't have a gun rack in the window just because I always just put it beside me. I will say I did not have any weight in the back of my truck. I know that's a big mistake, but also you can't get traction when it is just ice. And that is all it is. You'd have to see it to believe it. I had to crawl on my hands and knees to get out of the place I got my truck stuck. Okay, so with that, we're gonna get a dozer and pull it out, and it'll be fine. But yeah, maybe if I had some weight in the back, it would help. Also, I probably should just get some chains. It's the thing, like in Oklahoma though, you don't know if you're gonna need it. I mean, you may not need chains for the next 5, 10, 15 years. But the one time you really do. So, yeah, you can laugh at me. I did a lot of driving on it before my truck went off the road. And so, I guess probably some overconfidence was my downfall as well. Also, it was just ice. Just pure ice. It was just solid ice. That's all it was. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to a little bit more of a serious matter here, and that is some updates regarding the events unfolding at Minneapolis. We can, if you want to get a picture here for you, something to look at. This is all that anybody's talking about right now. And so here's a CNN. Trump met with Noem for nearly 2 hours amid rising backlash. Kristi Noem, there always has to be a fall guy for these things, any matters of politics. Noem seems to be in the hot seat right now. She did say some silly things, I thought, about, hey, this guy's clearly up to no good, and just a lot of speculation about, hey, this is, he came to do domestic terrorism and whatnot. Those are kind of a leap there, especially without a thorough investigation first. But this is all anybody's talking about. Italians furious over deployment of ICE agents to bolster U.S. security at Winter Olympics. So furious about that. Department of Homeland Security's botched PR response to Alex Preddy's death was a long time coming. There you go. You got this picture of him there with an American flag and flowers. And so CNN is doing their PR blitz, trying to score political points here. Of course, Republicans are trying to do their blitz on swaying matters into their advantage. Let's just talk about where we are right now and some simple facts that we do know. So first of all, Tom Homan is going to Minneapolis. I don't know if he's there already, but he is going to be directly overseeing these things. I do think that this is good because when you have multiple American citizens, as far as I know, Alex Preddy was, when you have multiple American citizens getting shot, even if justifiably, okay, certainly in Renee Good's case, she hit the officer with her car. When you threaten an officer, that is, I think, in every case, that's going to be justified in that situation. Alex Preddy, we're still waiting to see some of the investigation there. He did not help matters, it seems like, because when you watch the video, it appeared that he was resisting arrest. He placed his hands on an officer. It's a big problem, right? Especially if you're carrying a gun, you're escalating the situation. So, anyways, we're gonna see the investigations play out. But when you have multiple American citizens shot like that, you do need to do something, right? Nobody is happy about it. Nobody wants to see people losing their lives for any reason. And so I'm glad that Trump is taking some strong measurements here, right? Okay, we're going to get Homan in. We're going to get this situation under control. At least that's what the PR image is to be. And it looks like they're starting to get more cooperation with the local law enforcement. Where has local law enforcement been here lately? It does seem that that's kind of a theme there, the reporting of, hey, we don't have a lot of support from local law enforcement when we go to Texas, we go to these other red states to carry out ICE arrests, deportation. We always get the cooperation and help from local law enforcement, but none are found in Minneapolis. Why is it always Minneapolis? That's kind of the question of the day. But I do think the administration, one of the big things Trump ran on, as a matter of fact, it was the thing. Every time that Trump did a rally, he did a campaign speech, and so on, the border was the big thing, getting criminals out. So the administration does have a strong message from the people to carry out deportations. I see Tom's question. Does anyone remember the poor woman who was killed in the January 6th debacle? Where was the outrage then? Yeah, Ashley Babbitt, I believe was her name. Ashley Babbitt. You can somebody search it for me. Make sure that I'm right on that. That was her name. That is one of the things, of course, that I've been pointing out. There is inconsistency, right? We do not get outraged about Ashley Babbitt, who was seemingly doing far less than what either Renee Good or Alex Preddy did, based on what I've seen so far. Now, I could be wrong and let the investigations play out. I'm continuing to say that because I think every time that happens, the investigation should be done. It should be thorough. But yeah, there is inconsistency there. It's frustrating. But I don't think that Trump needs to say, okay, that's it. We're done doing deportations. We're going to move on to something else. We're going to focus on, I don't know, whatever else it is that he wants to focus on, whether it's industry in America, manufacturing, or tariffs or something else. I think that you need to stay the course and continue to emphasize, no, this is something that the American people wanted us to do. They want us to get these illegal criminals out of the country, and that's exactly what we're going to do. So I'm glad that it's not, okay, throw up your hands, abandon Minnesota. At the same time, I'm not telling you that there shouldn't be any change in operating procedure. We've had 2 different occasions of American citizens being shot. Even if they are completely justified, one of them looks pretty obviously justified from what we've seen. The other one, tragic situation. It looked like, from my perspective, he was interfering with law enforcement. You can question the assumption there. Maybe there's video that happened before that we didn't see. But even if that is the case, there's got to be an adjustment made to prevent this from happening. Hey, we need more officers, or you need more help from local law enforcement to keep the protesters further away. The efforts of tracking the agents. Okay, they're tracking you. I'm one of those I'm really big on communication freedom, so I don't like the idea of the government cracking down on what you can and can't do. You could argue a matter of national security. I just assume give the government less authority, okay? The answer is never give the government more power. Rather, it is, hey, we know that they are tracking. We know that there are these apps where you can notify people, hey, we saw an ICE vehicle here, an ICE agent here. You need to be well prepared, right? Do you have the means to keep a crowd at bay? Do you have good communication with local law enforcement to arrange security for a perimeter? I think it's a good thing that there's something else being done. The considerations of, do you want to have them wearing masks? It's a serious matter. Granted, in today's time, people will turn on you. People's lives have been ruined because they were released on the internet, right? And they're unhireable, okay? Just to think about all these kids, these young kids who were applying to school, and then they were singing along to some rap video, and there was a certain word that you are never, ever, ever supposed to say, and they said it, and then now they don't get accepted into whatever college they're applying to. So very serious ramifications here when you consider that, and I think that there's just got to be a lot of thought put into this. What is the best way forward? How is this to be done? Because I don't want them to take their foot off the gas when it comes to deportations. I don't want them to take their foot off the gas when it comes to arresting illegals and whatnot. One of the things, I've heard Rand Paul mention, his thoughts are all the nonviolent illegal aliens, let them stay in the country, don't let them vote. Their children can vote if they're born in the United States. I've heard some people say that Rand Paul has some good suggestions there. I'm not a fan of that one because I'm not a fan of of inequality. Not to sound like a liberal, I'm not talking about equity, I'm talking about equality. To say, hey, you stay here and work for us. And that was Rand Paul's kind of argument. Hey, we need him to pick the tomatoes. I think that if you're here, you should be an American citizen to exercise the rights of an American citizen. I'm not in favor of creating some subservient class. Maybe Rand Paul could clarify his statements on that. Maybe he would be able to better articulate it at some point. I haven't heard any good alternative suggestions yet that I just think, wow, that's fantastic, I'm all for. Jerry says, your governor says that he isn't sure Americans want illegals deported. What do you say? Are you talking about, Jerry, you talking about my governor as in Kevin Stitt? I did not see that quote, if that's what he said. Now, Stitt certainly says a lot of things that I disagree with. So just because Stitt said it does not mean it's something I'm on board with by any means. Oklahoma Republican governor says Trump is getting bad advice on immigration policy. Stitt said the administration needs to stop politicizing immigration enforcement and focus on real solutions. He said Americans do not want to deport every single non-U.S. citizen. There's some... He was probably trying to play nice on CNN for one. Why would you ever... First of all, why would you ever go on CNN? Like, what's the deal with that? The second I see a Republican go on CNN and it doesn't end in a debate and him making CNN mad at him, instantly makes me mad. Because why would you ever go on CNN if you're not going to pick a fight? And so, I don't know what Stitt's talking about there. He doesn't speak for me. Jake Merritt for governor. But yes, we want every single non-U.S. citizen deported. That's what I want. That's what I want. Because you just can't have a country if there are people that are here that are not going by the same rules, that are not assimilating, not sharing your values. And you know how they're not sharing your values is when you go into town and you see people who do not speak your language. I'm sorry, but in order to have a nation, that's the difference between a nation and an empire. I suppose an empire can have different regions in which people speak different languages, even though the Greeks did carry out Hellenization, and they largely succeeded, I think. You see in the New Testament writings being largely Greek. So even then, an empire needs some degree of Hellenization, assimilation, if you will. But no, we are in the shape that we are in because America is, first of all, I think being swayed in elections by people who aren't even U.S. citizens. I mean, there's people that pretend that, oh, no, non-U.S. citizens never vote in elections. It's a bunch of lies, is what it is. There absolutely have been fraud cases in which non-U.S. citizens have voted in elections. We've got to cut it out. We've got to have election integrity. The fact that the Republicans have not passed any massive voter resolutions, laws is just furious that we can't have better voter registration. Now, they may claim that it is, it's not possible with the filibuster. It is frustrating how there is such a gridlock that prevents us from getting stuff done. What if we could actually get something accomplished to where there was true election integrity in federal elections? Now, state-run stuff, if you want, your governor to be whatever, sure. But when it comes to national elections for federal matters, and it is tough to some degree because then you got, them drawing the maps and whatnot for Senate. But regardless, there's got to be something done. The fact that Republicans haven't, it's a sham. I think. I don't know why their motives are what they are. It makes no sense to me. So we've got to get non-U.S. citizens out of the country so they can't vote. We've got to get non-U.S. citizens out so they cannot take advantage of our welfare program, whether it's medical care or whatever else. And this idea of we got to bring in the third world because we've got to have a population increase, a population replacement. Yeah, because we're murdering all of our children. We are murdering them in the womb. We are encouraging young women to not get married, even in churches. Looking at you, pastors, who are so quick to use Paul's passage as a blanket statement for all time. Really, really careful about using, once again, I will say it again for the bazillionth time. Be very, very careful about building entire doctrines around anything you read in 1 Corinthians or 2 Corinthians to that degree. Now, if it's very clearly stated, by all means. But there's some contextual things that you find in those two epistles. There's a reason why they read very differently than the other Pauline epistles. And you better be real careful. So anyways, we're not having children, whether it's on the liberal side, because they're all... I don't know. They're all, what's the word I'm looking for here? Sterilizing themselves. They are not getting married. They're practicing immoral things. On the conservative side, for some reason, there was this idea of, hey, don't have too many kids. Only have, 2, maybe 3 tops. And even 3 is too much, probably just stick to 2 or maybe just 1. How many people do you know? Fascinating thing I'd like to know from some of our older audience. When you were growing up, how many people did you know that was an only child? How many people did you know that was an only child? I would imagine that you probably knew a couple, but it was maybe due to probably something more like, hey, I was really difficult for my family or what have you, maybe very sad reasons for whatever reason, right? My father wasn't around anymore or what have you, right? But they were an only child. But now an only child is kind of almost the normal in a lot of ways. You see more people just having one kid than you do now. So once again, we've got to start building our population from within instead of bringing in others. So yeah, I am for deportations. And as Tom Homan says, deport the children with the parents. Because I think these kids are at a disadvantage too. It's not fair to them for their parents to be here illegally and all the challenges that presents. It's better for them to go back to their country, and they need to either come in the legal way or they need to do what they can to make their country better, to better their country. It's always funny to me because the left, they're always very much, American culture is not superior. Look at the amazing things coming out of South America. Okay, but why are all of them leaving to come here? And then when we say we should send them back, they say, oh, no, we can't send them back. They're refugees or what have you. It's like, well, which one is it? Is American culture better than these South American countries, or is it not? It's very conflicting, very confusing. So yeah, I don't agree with what Stitt said there. Rick says, did you see Walls has the Minnesota National Guard passing out coffee and snacks to protesters, want to keep their morale up, right? Ooh, I have not heard about that one. I will, we're going to talk about that in just a minute as well, because I don't know that there's anybody in America who has benefited more from all the controversy and riots that have been going on in Minneapolis, Minnesota in general right now, than Tim Walz. Okay, so we're going to talk about that some more in a little bit. Ken says, totally cut off all their benefits and we'll see how many of them want to stay and how many want to come in. Yeah, and that is Rand Paul's argument, take them off of welfare. Don't let them have welfare. Certainly don't let them vote. Don't give them citizenship. But once again, I don't like the idea of just openly saying, okay, we're going to have a second class of people in society. There's a part of me that I don't, and maybe it can be worded to me differently to where I would consider being on board. But a part of me, the idea behind deportations is I don't want there to be a society in which there's some people who have this level of rights and then some people who have less rights. If you have fewer rights, then you just should be deported. That's one reason why, with the exception of violent felonies, right, you actually have committed a violent crime with a felony. I think that once you're out of prison, you should be restored your rights. If you committed a felony through tax evasion or whatever, when you've done your time, you should be fully restored. You should be able to vote. Again, that's a conviction that I have, because I think that the point of the disciplinary punishment system, the prison system, is for them to serve their time, right? Once you've served your time, we've said, okay, you can now live out in polite society, but you can't do X, Y, Z. So that's an interesting discussion as well. Toby says, not a fan of the Oklahoma governor, but it could be worse. Yes, absolutely. He could be a liberal. Stitt, I don't know. There's things that he's done that frustrate you. You know, Ryan Walters, and it was an effort to pander, I feel like, than to really do any kind of real work for education in Oklahoma. Also, Stitt, I will say one thing that he did. He was actually willing to kind of stand up to the tribes. And that's something that nobody has the guts to do. Nobody has the guts to stand up to the tribes and address the matters of, hey, there really kind of is this. Talking about equal rights, second-class citizenship, and all of the benefits and things that the tribes get to do that nobody else would get to now. I know there were the treaties signed, there were the treaties made, and the allotments to the land that were given out to the tribes. But does that mean that every benefit they have now actually fits within the agreements and the conditions of those treaties? I think it's worth looking into at the very least, because people certainly never try to take advantage of the situation, right? They never try to stretch the limits, stretch the rules, stretch the bounds, keeping them in check. And hey, there's a lot of money coming into the tribes that aren't necessarily coming into Oklahoma. So something to consider there. It's an interesting discussion. Tara says, wow, great observation. I grew up with families who had a minimum of 5 children up to 9. Yeah, used to. My grandfather, youngest of 9. I'm fortunate to be here. So used to huge families. You had kids and you didn't stop having kids. Now, if you have more than 3 kids, people start looking at you funny, almost like, what is wrong with you? Are you crazy? You want to have more kids? I'll leave it at that. Okay. Moving on. So with that, that's the updates regarding Minnesota. But I will tell you right now, in talking about Tim Walz, if you are Tim Walz, you are relieved. You are very much relieved that the new headlines about Minnesota are all about ICE and not about all the fraud that has been going on. You hate to think it, but the reality is politics is such a cutthroat game. If it takes a few Renee Goods and an Alex Preddy to stoke the flames of the conflict between ICE and Minnesota and get everybody up in a roar, and it takes the pressure off of you, you're no longer having to face the issues of fraud and abuse in the state of Minnesota. Politicians have done that many times. I would just say you better be careful listening to any politician, because they are likely trying to use you for their own political interests. They will gin up things at the right times in certain ways, shifting the focus to where they want it to be. It's a game of misdirection. And that really is how American politics plays out largely. What was the big issue that everybody was talking about in 2020? Largely COVID and BLM, right? And those things were all focused, directed towards Trump. So Trump was the target of focus. He lost. To use 2020, it was close. Maybe. but you, to try to follow the pattern, if you want to look at 2016, let's look at 2016, because 2020 I have questions about. Granted, there were some states that Trump didn't win in 2020 that he won in 2016 and 2024. That's maybe a better comparison, right? Like he won certain states. Certain states like North Carolina flipped on him, Pennsylvania flipped on him, and Pennsylvania is not a great example to use either. Questions there, but you get my point. But whoever it is, whoever the referendum's on is the issue at hand. So when everybody's talking about you, that's bad. Almost 99% of the time. You want them talking about your opposition, right? Whatever failures they're doing. So Tim Walz is benefiting greatly from this. The Democrats are benefiting greatly from this. Gavin Newsom, whoever else, is planning on running, is benefiting from this because now the pressure's on Trump. It is a sad thing, but I think it's just truth. And what a sad thing to be a young person. And there's some older people, too, who are easily impressionable. And you are hearing Tim Walz give his speeches comparing this, to Nazi Germany and the revolution and whatnot, and or the Civil War, and you're being inspired, thinking, wow, yeah, I've got to protect my people. I've got to stand against, ICE and what have you, even though, what are they doing right now? Are they really rounding up sweet little grandmothers and children? I haven't seen any evidence of that. They are going after violent criminals, and they're just going after people that are here illegal in general. All right, they're not kidnapping children, even though the left likes to claim that. Certainly, the kidnapping of children goes on, but it's going on at the border, human trafficking and everything else. So Walz needs conflict with ICE in Minnesota. He needs it. Now, you can play tinfoil hat if you want to and say, well, maybe Trump's going to make a deal with him. Listen, if you start cooperating here, we're going to get all the fraud stuff in Minnesota out of the headlines. You won't have to worry about it, but I need you to play ball with me here. Who knows what goes on behind closed doors? That's all pure speculation. We don't know, and it's fun, I guess, to make stuff up and speculate. But until there is any reason to let off the gas, and probably things were letting off the gas because you had the protesters enter into the church, which was a bad look for the Democrats all around. And then they had the incident with Alex Preddy. And so that's where things are right now. I have no updates for you. I know that you may be having your ear to the ground on all this. We'll just wait and see. What I hope is that everything calms down pretty soon. That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that ICE is able to carry out their operations in a constitutional way, legal way, and they are coordinating in such a manner that protests are not getting out of hand and there's any more loss of life. We don't want that. We don't want that at all. Now, let's move on. There was a time when I first started Shields and Arrows. We're on episode 400 and what is this? 424. And so, 3 years ago when we started Shields and Arrows, I'd spent a little bit of time reading Christianity Today articles to you and addressing some of the obvious bias that's in Christianity Today. And I want to go to Christianity Today's website right now just to make a point to you. I'm going to use them as an example, okay? So for you to pull up Christianity Today's website, and of course I know you all know Russell Moore, he's the senior editor of the president of it, I can't remember. But here's what you got right now. In a tense Minnesota, Christians help immigrant neighbors. All right, so here's this picture of this guy who got his window busted out by, very bad ICE, and I'm sure that he was just minding his own business, and ICE walks up and just bashes in his window, right? I would imagine that, surely he was not being non-compliant, maybe where he shouldn't be or whatever else. And I'm not reading the article, but you get the gist of it, right? It's, look at these Christians in Minnesota really being like Christ, and they're helping their immigrant neighbors who are scared to go out right now. Why would you be scared? I mean, if you're here legally, And by legally, technically, you could have a green card. But if you're here, why would you be afraid? And I know there's this story, the Choctaw Nation and other, tribes, but make sure you have your documentation, know your rights, as if ICE is going to come and deport you to where? Where are they going to deport you to? Philippines, maybe? I feel like Choctaw Nation, I've seen some Filipinos that, they look like they could be related, I suppose. Is that going to get me in trouble on YouTube? Or I'm just making an observation? Okay. Anyways. So with that, you've got the, Christianity Today website there. Churchgoers drive immigrants to work and doctor's appointments. So what a great thing Christians are doing in Minnesota, because that's the true Christian thing to do. That's fine if you want to take care of somebody, show kindness to somebody. Also, if you're hiding an illegal immigrant from ICE, you probably are breaking the law because they're here illegally. That's why they're illegal in the first place. That's how the law works. Here's just a few other examples. First year of Trump 2.0 leaves pro-lifers with misgivings. And then they have another one, Zimbabwe Christians push back against proposed abortion legislation. It is amusing to me how Christianity Today likes to split the baby on this, because they never criticize for third term or third trimester murdering of children, and which any abortion is a murdering of a child, plain and simple. But they pretend like there is just this hidden, shadowy force out there that just is standing for the right to murder children. And the issue is Trump just doesn't do enough. Republicans don't do enough. I agree. Some ways they don't do enough. You don't get to insult Trump on this one, okay? Christianity Today, I'm just telling you. You don't get to, because Trump, I've said it before, Trump has done more for the pro-life cause by getting Roe v. Wade struck down than any president before him, whether you like it or not. He is the one that got the appointees on the Supreme Court to be able to overturn Roe versus Wade. So for you to, and I haven't even read the article, but there's going to be some critiques of Trump. He hasn't done anything pro-life in his second term. He kind of did the thing, guys. And right now, I don't know that America's in a position where they're ready for a federal law on matters of abortion. So once again, they will call out Republicans, conservatives by name, and then when it comes to those who actually want to murder children in the womb, I have no idea. There's this mysterious group out there who want to murder children. Who could that be? Who could that be? Oh, I don't know. If only there was a political party out there whose open platform was abortion. If there was a political party out there who celebrated the murder of children. But it's a mystery. It's a mystery wrapped in an enigma. We'll never know. Once again, that other example, Zimbabwe Christians push back against abortion legislation. Who are what is the worldview of those who want to pass abortion? Pro-abortion laws. Who are they? No idea. We won't give Trump any credit, but you know what? We'll give Zimbabwe Christians credit. Why? Probably because they meet a certain minority, at least American minority quota. And so with that, they continue in their mentality of conservatives bad, liberals just a little bit mistaken in some ways, but their heart is in a better place than those mean old conservative Christians. And you can look here, they also have one for Alex Petty, I should say. Authority is a responsibility, not an excuse. That's by our favorite, Bonnie Christian. Christian, I guess is how you say her last name. Me and Bonnie go way back. She was whining about Trump being president again long before the election was ever held. And so, Bonnie and I go way back. But she's got an article: the Trump administration should be able to execute on its immigration mandate without executing people like Alex Preddy in the streets. So here's the thing, Bonnie. Here's the thing. I don't know if you have ever carried a gun. I talk to Bonnie directly sometimes. I don't know that you ever carried a gun, Bonnie, as an officer. And I don't know if you've ever found yourself in a situation where protesters and borderline rioters are surrounding you. I would just recommend to you, before you make an assumption, wait for the details to come out. Wait for the details. Let the investigation ensue before you make a claim that Alex Preddy was just executed. You could say it looked like he was executed. Maybe so. Maybe. But the investigation hasn't unfolded yet. So, to look at the big picture, this isn't just, I'm done with Christianity Today. But I just wanted to make a point that if you're somebody who is listening and you go to a church, or you have friends, or your pastor, or someone like that, shares anything at all that is from Christianity Today, that is a clear sign for you that you do not share the same worldview as these people. This idea of conservatism actually bad, progressivism just misunderstood, always critique the people that just are not perfectly Christian like you want them to be, but then you just ignore the outright anti-God platform that is the Democrat Party. You just have a blind eye to it. There is no overlap on common effort there, okay? They're not going to vote aligned with your values, okay? They're not going to do that. They probably voted for Biden. Almost certainly they voted for Biden in 2024. And I'm not telling you that who you vote for is always the measure of your morality. But when you do know what the Democrat Party stands for and what they want to do, there's nothing they want more than to stack the Supreme Court and get Roe v. Wade reinstated. Like, that is one of the big goals. Like, if Biden would have won this time around, they would have made great effort to do so. The only reason he didn't is because the conservatives controlled the court, and he didn't have the support to stack the court like he wanted to. So you're not striving towards the same goal, the same efforts. And so you just don't need to be involved with them. I would just cut ties. I'm not saying that you cut them out of your life, but certainly if your pastor or your church shares anything related to Christianity Today, get out of there. Today. Just quit. Don't be involved with them anymore. They do not share your values at all. I would stop giving them your money. You need to keep your money. If you can find a good church, a good ministry to give it to, by all means, hey, here I am. Shameless plug. If you can find missionaries to support, by all means, do it. But stop going along to get along. All right? Don't have the mentality of, Christianity Today, they have some real bad takes that I disagree with, but they are Christians, and these people love the Lord. No. Stop justifying it. Stop excusing it. It is just open progressive propaganda. Because at the end of the day, when push comes to shove, it's just like a Liz Cheney or any other one of those soft rhino Republicans, right? They will fold. They'll fold every time. They will not stand on principle. They will always get in line. They may give a little bit of opposition in just the weakest way, but they will never name who the real threat is. They'll never name who the problem is. It would be so amusing. Have they done a single article on saying, I know Gavin Newsom is acting like a moderate right now, but he's a wolf in sheep's clothing. Here is his position on transgender issues. They're never going to do that. Same thing with the Gospel Coalition and others. Christianity Today, the Gospel Coalition, throw them all into one big vat. They are never going to do anything. They're never going to do anything. They have been kind of the the mainstay for Christian commentary over the years, and it has made a soft, weak Christianity in which pastors are soft, they're effeminate, churches are soft, they're effeminate. No more. No more. We're done. And even to call it effeminate is honestly it's almost disrespectful to women, true femininity, because effeminate and femininity are not, I would not call those the same thing, right? And feminism is not femininity. Gotta be careful with my different terms there, get them right. Because there are some women out there who are amazing, who believe in the role of motherhood, who believe in men being the leaders of the family, being the leaders of the church. So let that just be a metric for you. Just like if you know somebody who watches CNN religiously and you know, oh, they're being fed propaganda, I don't need to have any more affiliation with this person. We can have conversations. I mean, I'm not going to hate them to their core, but as far as me pretending like we have any similar common goals here by, somebody watching CNN, because it's just propaganda machine, that's all it is. CNN is just a liberal, progressive propaganda machine. So you've got to have some, just some willingness to just call it like it is. And there's no more time that I'm going to waste on trying to work with these people in this way. What you need to do is, love them, pray for them. Those are all great things to do. I'm not telling you to not be, what's the word I'm looking for? Cordial with them. You see them at the grocery store, say hi. But stop wasting your time and your effort and your labor and your resources on these kind of ministries, right? If it is a church, if it is an organization, just be done. Be done. There's no point in continuing to engage in that, all right? You've got to start finding people who are like-minded. That's why, small ministries like ours is able to stay afloat. And it's kind of interesting because when you look at how we do in relative to the views that we get and the reach that we get, we do really well because many people who watch this have come to that same conclusion, that I sat in that church service for a long time and I wanted to be faithful. I wanted to do everything that I could to help the church for the sake of the ministry. But you came to the conclusion that the doctrine's bad, the worldview is bad, the political convictions of them are bad. We do not mesh, and I need to go a different route. I need to do something different, and so that's what you've done. So just let that be a metric for you. Once again, Christianity Today is just an example, but there's so many others that you just need to rid yourself of in the sense of affiliation and wasting time and effort on. If you want to have conversations with individuals, if you want to talk to people in the church, hey, let me tell you why I'm no longer a part of your congregation. Let me tell you why I just can't support the ministry anymore. Have those individual conversations, but just quit, I would say, throwing your money and your time into an empty well because of some vague concept of mutualism, right? Just because it's called Christianity Today means that you're on the same team. You're striving towards the same goal, because you're not. Christianity Today is not striving towards a more traditional, more conservative worldview. They're not. They demonstrate that all the time because they never will stand up to the real progressives that are out there. Hey, we got Mr. Fulton with us. Clint's father, great to have you on, sir. Great to. One of these days, I want to meet you in person. I wish that you could make it to our spring Bible conference. It would be great to have you. Hopefully, the weather's better come the end of March. It should be. Now, there may be tornadoes. I don't know. By the way, what a great time! I'm glad that you mentioned it, Gary, to bring up the spring Bible conference, which is going to be at Blue Baptist Church. And let me see. Let me get you to the main page there. In March 27th through the 29th, addressing doctrinal issues that churches avoid. And hopefully we'll encourage some people out there who, feel like their church is lacking in some areas, but maybe they can't put their finger on it. Hey, why is it that we seem to avoid certain issues? Why do we not dig into certain things and whatnot? Hopefully this conference will answer some of those questions. Why there are some portions of your Bible and so on that churches do tend to avoid and stay away from, and we're not going to stay away from it. We're going to tackle it, and we've got all the sessions there, and I'm going to get those published for you to where you can share it eventually, just a little bit longer there. Let's see here. Randy says, catch more flies with sugar than vinegar. Yeah, I think that you, don't... If you are trying to use that example, let's say you go to a church and they share Christianity Today postings and publishing and whatnot, I would say if you do leave, give yourself the opportunity to not burn every bridge within the congregation, right? Do so in a way that hopefully you can have conversations with people, relationships with people, with individuals after that, to where you can have those discussions. But there's some people that are so committed, so dug in, you're not changing their mind. And there's also so many institutions that are so ingrained with it that you can't change the institution itself. You're going to have to decide for yourself and discern the proper approach as far as, do I try to change my church or do I just try to jump ship here? Let's see. Tara says, I thought of Got Questions. I think Got Questions is another good example. Got Questions is... They seem to be decently conservative. Well, I don't know if I want to say that. I don't know where they stand on conservative matters, traditional matters, but they are fully sold on evangelicalism. Just, they will take the most evangelical, middle-of-the-road answer on almost all issues. I'm going to have to investigate more as far as their position on socio-political matters. And they do have a lot of questions that they have tried to answer. So you can get a pretty good feel for that, I would imagine. Chandler says, good morning, everyone. Randy, vinegar is way more healthy for you. Well, there's one take right there. Yeah, vinegar is healthier in a lot of ways. Sometimes maybe it takes a little bit of both, right? Tim says, so tired of weak men in church. Evangelicalism is full of them. Yeah, and that's one of the goals that we have here. Shields and Arrows, trying to be a little bit more, I don't know, I'm trying to think. I guess I'll just use the word masculine. There you go. So I've got a beard. Just kidding. I just got tired of shaving and decided, hey, let's just see how the beard goes. This is 3 weeks. Pretty sure it's, 3.5 weeks now of growing the beard. This is all I've got to show for it. Chandler says, sometimes bluntness and boldness is called for. Yeah, I think that there's a time for both. You've got to discern when to apply which one. A good coach, for example, anybody who is involved in athletics, a good coach will know which players that he needs to be more blunt with to get them motivated, and which ones that he knows he needs to show a little bit more compassion towards. And I'd say a lot of kids respond better to compassion than just bluntness, but sometimes bluntness requires it. You got to know when to apply it at the right time. Tim says, I jumped ship from our church as the men were so weak, afraid to offend any person, yet they offended the Lord by the lack of spine. Yeah, that's a very true statement as well. I just think it's time to start being very honest about it, that, hey, listen, we're buying material here from whichever, company or organization it is. You just got to say, listen, these people don't share our values. Why are we doing this? Here's an example. If you go to the bank, go to your local bank. Now, if you're in the city, I don't know if you're going to get away with this if it's a big franchise, but if you're out in the country and you have a local bank and you walk in, they got CNN playing, I'd ask them, what are you doing with CNN on the TV? There's nothing that they're going to be telling us that's of any value. What are you talking about? You were involved in the local Christmas parade or whatever, right? And here you are showing CNN. They don't share any values that we have here in this town. It's a really simple example, but I just think it works really well. Just starting to be blunt about it and calling it what it is. Rick is trying to score points with me. You got a real masculine look going for you. Real men don't quit. Are you talking about don't quit the beard? Keep going, keep growing the beard. I will grow the beard until the Bible conference. All right, that's the plan. So we'll see what it looks like in about 2 months. So 2 months of beard growing. Thank you, Rick. You're pretty masculine yourself. Rick looks. I will say this: when we were at Branson, Rick changed out of his nice Bible conference clothes into his Walmart going clothes. He's a guy I wouldn't want to mess with. He had a look about him that, hey, this guy might stab you. Sorry, Rick. I mean, I say that in the best way. Talking about being masculine, looking intimidating. But when you wear your Walmart clothes, you transform from distinguished businessman to, hey, this guy, I'm going to keep my eye on him. I hope that made you laugh, Rick. That was kind of a joke, maybe. All right, everyone. So tomorrow, let's just take a step back here as we are winding down now on the show. Tomorrow we are maybe going to go live. It all depends on if my son has school tomorrow. If my son has school tomorrow, Wednesdays are the days that Tuesdays and Wednesdays when I do security. So I may be doing security there. I don't know about church tomorrow. I'm going to have to wait and see how much melts today. We are sitting at 27 degrees right now. The sun is shining. We've got a high of 38, which means we'll probably tip over 40. We'll see. There's a lot of ice out there, folks. And I don't want to be the reason that one of the little old church ladies fell on the ice. Or I fell on the ice. But I've already fallen multiple times. And I still got to go get my truck that is currently at the bottom of a bank. I'm glad it didn't go in the pond. All right, everyone. Really appreciate you. Once again, Gary, great to have you. I know you get to pop in ever so often. Always appreciate you. Appreciate your son. You did a good job raising that man right there. And the rest of you, really great to have you. I appreciate each and every one of you. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me at markdbaze@gmail.com. And we will be back to it. We'll hopefully see an improvement in conditions up in Minnesota. We'll hopefully see improvement in the conditions of our churches as we continue on. I'm going to try to get Jake Merrick back with us sometime soon. Be really interesting to hear an update from the campaign and all that he's doing. Pay attention to your local politics, folks. If we want to make things better, we've got to get more local. So I really appreciate each and every one of you. Have a good rest of your Tuesday. Stay warm. Be safe. Don't slide on the roads. Take care.